Welcome to Mojo Talks. I'm Eric, and as you know, we have a series on Fridays where we talk about what to binge on a given weekend. Then we come back and we talk about it on Talks. And don't forget to subscribe to Mojo Talks, because that's what we do, we talk. And so today we've convened a panel of our talkers, of our bingers, and we have Jem and Miriam. How you guys doing?
Great.
Good, good.
So we binged over the weekend, and today we're going to talk about Santa Clarita Diet. We're going to talk about Requiem and Be the Beginning.
That's right.
Let's start with Drew Barrymore and Santa Clarita Diet. You, Miriam, had never watched any of it, and then you binged the whole weekend.
I binged all 20 episodes, and it was very worth it. It's such a good show. I really recommend it.
Okay, so what is it? What do you like about it, and how does season 2 differ from season 1?
Okay, so basically it's created by Victor Fresco, who created Better Off Ted. I don't know if anyone's seen it.
Very
Love
particular
that show.
brand of humor.
Yes, very much so. And it's based on the story is that Drew Barrymore is named Sheila. She's a realtor. She's married to Timothy Oliphant, who's Joel.
Very regular life, right?
Very regular life, suburban. They're
California.
like very boring. At the beginning, they kind of go through pains in the pilot episode of just showing this kind of very normal lifestyle, and it's just very bland. And in the first episode, she becomes undead. There's this whole way it happens, and she's undead, and the family has to deal with this new reality of the mother being undead and needing to eat basically human flesh to survive.
Delicious.
So it kind of goes through the pains of dealing with that new reality in a very over-the-top, hilarious way, but dealing with the mundane issues of it. And that's why it's so funny.
And so season 2, because season 1, they didn't really know what caused her to become undead. And season 2, where are we at?
So yeah, in season 1, Joel, Timothy Oliphant, is trying to figure out kind of medically what they can do about it. In season 2, they start to develop more of an understanding of where it comes from, and so they're kind of trying to unsolve the mystery of how this all happened. So that's kind of another plot point of the whole show.
Now, so I've heard, Drew Barrymore, first of all, is vegetarian. So all those scenes where she's eating flesh, apparently it's like gummy bears, moist cake, dehydrated apples. That's what I read. It's not just cake, moist cake.
Yeah, it has to be moist because of all the human blood in it.
Exactly, yeah. And so she's vegetarian, so it's doubly funny that she's this flesh-eating zombie in the series. I really like Timothy Oliphant. I find this is a great vehicle for him.
Yes, he's hilarious. I think that he's really the comic relief side of the show, and he has such great moments and such great comedic timing, and it just spruces it up as it goes along.
I have a question. In your notebook, it says you must kill tonight at 8. Who are you planning on killing, Loki?
What about the overarching themes? I mean, there's certain things that you really kind of seem to hone in on when watching, especially second season or in general?
The whole thing in general. I think that there's a lot of really feminist themes in this show, and I think that on first glance you're kind of like, it's a zombie show, it's just hilarious and fun, but there's actually a lot of really interesting kind of discourses around like women's place in the world. And so before she becomes an undead, she is like really timid and meek and mild, and she doesn't really want to shake any feathers or ruffle any feathers. But then after she becomes undead, she's more outspoken, she's more kind of secure and confident in herself, and she even says, like, there's a huge change in me, and she doesn't take like anyone's crap anymore. And the really interesting thing is that like in the pilot episode, her first human kill is someone who's like sexually harassing her. And so she kind of in this moment where she's turned and she's undead, she's actually like asserting herself in this really sexually harassment moment. So that's why it's really interesting. So throughout the whole show, there are these moments where you see her changing from this woman who doesn't want to make anyone upset to this woman who's really asserting herself. So I think that that's what is really cool about the undertones of the show.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
That's what people are basically, there's people can identify with that.
Sheila?
Which
So
is cool.
season 2, A okay?
Definitely see it.
Speaking of A, how about B? Be the beginning. Jem, you're a big fan of anime.
I like anime. I'm wearing an anime shirt right now.
I can feel the power surging through my body and my soul!
So tell us about B.
Okay, so B is comes from a kind of like a tradition of vigilante justice style animes. Well, at least it starts off like that, then it becomes many different things. But this one has this mysterious black-winged character called Koku, who just goes around apparently and kills people who themselves are killers.
So vigilante justice.
So basically, it's like the police are also looking out for these killers, for instance, but instead of just letting the police deal with it, he just goes in and kills them instead.
Okay.
So that's what I mean. And the whole story...
He doesn't eat them, though?
No
okay.
eating. No.
So it's not Santa Clarita related.
The main premise of the show, at least how it starts off, is this police force, the Royal Investigation Squad, I think, the RIS, trying to figure out, you know, what's behind all these murders. And then the main character is someone called Keith Flick.
Great name. Yeah,
it's an interesting name, and it becomes even more interesting when you read the Japanese pronunciation. But he is like an older cop. He's been doing this for a while, and then 8 years ago, some mysterious event happened, and it turned him into this very like dejected man. He has like, when the show starts, he has like very long hair and like a long beard, and he's like sleeping while there's a debriefing happening. So he's kind of the character who's like the aloof genius, basically, right? And then there's another character called Lily Hoshina, who's like she's kind of like the comic relief character, but also one of the main characters. And together, basically, they realize that there is something weird happening. It's not just these like a killer killing killers. There's some more occulty things going on behind that. And that's what I mean by like the genre changes from a detective cop show to the kind of like occult, magical, mystery, fantasy anime.
Does it pass the 3-episode rule?
I would say it does. I mean, there's only 12 episodes anyway, and you know, so once you're in 3 episodes, might as well watch the rest of the stuff, because it's it kind of has that thing where, you know how like even if like one episode is kind of like doesn't feel like all the other ones, in the last 2 minutes they reveal something big and you're like, well, I have to watch the next episode now.
That's the nature of binging, right?
Exactly. Yeah. So it does pass that, and I enjoyed it.
You have another rule though, the goosebump rule.
Yeah. So that rule.
Can you explain the goosebump rule?
I will explain. So that rule to me is, it has to do with me like emotionally connecting to the characters, plus the soundtrack being good and being used in...
Marty Friedman was...
That's right. He plays the guitars in the ending. But yeah, so the music kind of works, and you know, there are like very intense emotional moments in there, as you would expect from most good anime. So in that sense, I would say it passes that as well. I really liked it.
Okay, so the smell test in general, it's a gem smell test.
It passes, yeah.
Okay, great. Now, speaking of occult things, there's also Requiem, which is, this is a new show. It's a BBC one, so it's a co-production with the UK, and it just came out on Netflix. This was a big hit in England, and it's kind of interesting show because it's about this cellist, like a world-famous cellist on the rise, who witnesses her own mother's suicide and then has to go, basically returns to an old house in Wales to uncover the secrets. It's really, really good. And what's interesting here is that this is a show, I think the producer, or the creator of the show, whose name is Chris Merksa, said, if it does well now with Netflix, there could be a season 2, because he wrote he wrote it to have a second season. Because you end the first season, you're like, I don't know what's going on here. It's a little bit strange. You saw it as well, right?
Yeah, I felt completely I felt like it took until the 4th episode before it really kind of like started to reveal itself. So it's definitely like a slow burn, which I really enjoy in a binge session. It's like really getting there and getting the pieces. But definitely, I was curious at the end when I saw the last episode, the last moment. I thought, is there a season 2? I hope so.
Apparently, if enough people like it, yes.
Okay.
If you're a fan of Stranger Things, I found that certain parts of this reminded me a little bit of The Upside Down. Other people have said it's reminiscent of this, The Witch. So we're running out of time, but if you like that kind of stuff, definitely something to check out. Requiem, and so thumbs up for everything, right? Santa Clarita and Be the Beginning.
Be the Beginning.
Thank you guys for joining us. Let us know what you think in the comments, and we'll see you next time. And subscribe to Mojo Talks.